I'm Kevin Crawford from Kevin Crawford Consulting, and welcome to the Executive Mirror. Welcome to the Executive Mirror. I'm Kevin Crawford, and I'm here with Relly Nadler, and we have an exciting subject to talk about today, don't we, sir?
Yes, Kevin, always good to be with you here, so I'm excited to talk about dancing with uncertainty.
Dancing with uncertainty. Uncertainty is present all the time in the lives of executives, isn't it?
Yeah. And I think for all of us, the brain is this predictive machine. So it's trying to quell uncertainty. So it's trying to get in front of it. What could happen? What will happen? What do I need to do? And that's a survival technique for all of us.
One of the things that I see with executives that's so prevalent is the difficulty in leaning into ambiguity.
Yeah.
Things that are ambiguous, where they can't measure, they can't see it, they can't predict it, they can't get their hands around it, puts them in a state of confusion and uncomfortableness.
Yeah.
And then they end up taking abrupt kind of actions that are inconsistent with what's needed.
I see that also, Kevin. I think they're looking for a answer so they have some certainty, but often it's not the best answer or the answer. It quells the mind, but it really is something that they need to get more people involved with. And is it the best answer?
Is this where over-controlling comes from?
Yeah, I think it's that idea that I have an answer. That uncertainty, when we feel it, it's uncomfortable and it feels like an internal crisis. Mm-hmm. And so how do I stop that uncertainty, this internal crisis? And often it may be, let's grab something that's a good answer. Okay, at least we have an answer.
Okay. In decision-making, and almost abrupt decision-making seems to quiet that down a little bit more than just living with it. And so if we can get executives to kind of live with the non-answer and be okay with that time frame of just letting it kind of percolate and grabbing new information and new data, we end up making better decisions, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
That's certainly been my experience.
And so anything that's kind of worked to help them stay with that uncertainty. So a big part of that is, I don't know what to do here. And so it's that acceptance part of that. But anything that you've found that's helped them stay with that temporarily, we'll get an answer. The Navy SEALs talk about embracing the suck.
Yeah.
Uncertainty sucks.
Yes.
Anything that those conversations that you've seen that's helped?
Lean in to not knowing.
Yeah.
Be okay with it.
Yes.
I think it gets interpreted in their mind oftentimes that if I don't know, I have failed.
Right.
I'm supposed to know. Those around me are expecting me to know. And if I don't know, oh my goodness, my credibility is dashed. My leadership perspective in their eyes is dashed. And so we try to give permission for people to be okay with not knowing, okay with ambiguity, and let it just kind of naturally percolate out without the rush of anxiety and pressure to respond.
Exactly. And so some of that is what do you need to know? And I will even ask them, how comfortable are you with not knowing, or how uncomfortable are you with uncertainty? And everybody's different. I'm recalling working with a CFO and the CEO, and the CFO in these analyst calls wanted 90% certainty. Mm-hmm. Which then would come off kind of stiff and not the right message in the analyst. And the CEO, I said, how comfortable are you? Like, what's your number? And he said, about 60%. So can we lean into that? And then it also brings in what's needed. And this is where maybe intuition comes in.
Oh, well, there's a lot that can be said about our gut feel, right?
Right.
Our gut feel is a little bit more scientific than we first thought, right?
Yeah, there is a part of the brain supposedly that's in the gut, and it is that feel. You're not only going to make decisions on intuition, but I'm sure you were in your role so many times, you didn't have all the information, and so you had to go on the intuition. And I like the definition of intuition. It's a recognized pattern. And so, I think I've been here before, or this seems like this. And you kind of get this feeling of let's go that way.
Right. So in my time with executives, it's getting them by way of conversation and looking at their issues to a place where they give themselves permission to not know all the answers.
Yep.
And that doesn't define them as a leader.
Right.
And that's a big part of the definition that they've created in their own mind as to what a leader should look like or what a CEO should look like isn't necessarily serving them well.
Right. That kind of outdated, I have to be the answer person. And so when you have uncertainty or some other emotions, often I'll use this popularized in Alcoholics Anonymous. You have to name it to tame it. Yeah, I feel uncertain about this, or I'm not really sure about that. And just putting that out on the table as we spoke, like, okay, so what else, what do you need? Making that okay, and just giving it a name ends up, in a sense, giving you a little bit more control.
When I talk to CEOs or any executives about emotional intelligence and increasing their personal awareness, we do the same thing. We say, listen to what is being said inside your head, and then name that feeling, that experience.
Right.
Because we've found that by naming it, it's much easier to manage it.
Right.
But if it doesn't get named, it's just this whole big Cobb salad of feelings
right.
that distract,
Yeah.
But if you can pull it apart and say, I'm feeling uncertain. I'm feeling anxious. I'm feeling inadequate.
Yeah.
Just naming it and getting rid of the ones that are of little significance. But once you name it, you can better manage it.
Name it to tame it. It's called affect labeling. And so you're labeling that. It's almost kind of...
Of course, a doctor would come up with a fancy term for it.
In psychology, they got terms for everything. But it's almost kind of giving it a diagnosis. You go see a medical person, and once they know what it is, kind of the affect labeling, oh, okay, what can we do? I think it allows them to move on to what can we do about this? What's next? And I think as us working with folks, it is that question. So what's next? What do you need to know? What's most important? What resources do you need? How are you going to measure it? I mean, all these things give it a tangible movement.
And we call that triaging.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. KCC calls that triaging because it's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, right.
Okay. What do we really need to spend time on? What do we need to prioritize? What is something we need to respond to immediately?
Yeah.
So we get rid of all that other stuff, but just putting it on the table, as you often talk about, and naming it calms a lot of that anxiety that comes not having the answer.
That's beautiful. All right, so let me take a moment. I'm going to summarize for this little piece.
Okay.
So you have uncertainty. You got to lean into it, make it okay, name it to tame it, and then move forward with it. What is it that you need? And using that triage, what's next? Often I think out of uncertainty, and we talked about predictability, what's the next thing you need to do?
Mm-hmm. And we have not prepared our executives to do that kind of thinking. Hence, you and I are busy.
Yes.
Relly, it's always a pleasure.
Well, thank you. I agree. This is fun.
All right. Well, we will sign off for this moment from Executive Mirror. We'll see you next time. For more information, contact Kevin, CrawfordConsulting.com.